Good morning, everyone. Hope I'm audible to everyone. So one of you kindly drop a message that there is no disturbance, and I'm really sorry. There's a drilling work going on in the college, so there is slight disturbance. Can't help. We'll have to go ahead with the same. So one of you drop me a message saying it is audible, and I'll just start and let's continue. Okay, thank you, Lavanya. So we had started with how to calculate total taxable income out of individual salary. So and here is the slide which says what are the different components of a particular salary. If a person is earning salary, what are the different varieties of income under salary he's going to earn? So the different components of salary are of four types. First is basic salary. So basic salary includes the basic pay. What are these things? We will read further or learn in further slides. One sec. So first component of salary is basic salary. Second one, if company has provided any allowances to meet the expenses of individual employees, then it is allowance. Third is perquisites. Perquisites is sometimes monetary or non-monetary perks or rewards or any kind of assets given to the employee, like a vehicle to motor vehicle to move from workplace to office, sorry, workplace to home, or to travel around on the official duty. All those comes under perquisites. Then superannuation benefits is nothing but the retirement benefits the company offers to its employees. Other than these four, if company has made any other payments, that also will be part of the salary. So what is salary? It is nothing but a consideration or a payment made by an employer to his employee for the services rendered. So salary includes mainly four components, that is basic salary, allowance, perquisites, and superannuation benefits. If the payment does not, in any other payment which cannot be categorized under any of these four categories, then it will come under any other payment. So we'll start with basic salary. Basic salary is again classified into four types, or it includes four components, sub-components, that is basic pay scale, dearness allowance, bonus, commission or fees. So what is basic pay? Basic pay is nothing but an essential component of a salary. That is the minimum amount an individual has to earn on basis of his qualification, experience, or the expertise, or how expertise he is in that particular field. So basic salary is very much important, and on the basic salary itself, rest of his salary components will be decided. So basic salary is an essential component of a salary, or the component on which the rest of the salary components are decided. So next, below that we have something called as pay scale. If you can see the fourth point, we have some numbers. So what is this pay scale? Pay scale is nothing but a sequence that tells us what is the next increment of a particular employee and when will the increment happen. So pay scale tells about the increment scale. When will the increment happen? How much will be the increment that is going to happen? So to begin with, the basic salary of the employee mentioned in that fourth point is 2000 rupees. So periodically, he will have an increment of 100 rupees. They have not mentioned the period over there. We'll assume it as quarterly or half yearly. So every half yearly, he will be paid 100 rupees. He will, once he reaches the salary of 2500, the next increment will be 200 rupees. So starting with this base scale of 2000 rupees, and every a periodical increment will be 100 until the salary totals to 2500. Once the salary totals to 2500, the increment will be 200 for the next period, next increments period. The same way, by providing 200 as increment, if this entire salary reaches 3500, the next increment will be 300, and the rest continues the same. This is pay scale. Pay scale is nothing but a scale which gives information about the increment of the employees. So pay scale in general will be including 20 increments, and all the components of basic salary, that is basic pay, bonus, dearness allowance, and dearness allowance and bonus or commission or fee. will be completely taxed. There is no deduction or there is no exemption for this four components that comes under basic pay. Just remember that for the entire session or for solving any problems in income from salary. So up next, the second component under basic salary is dearness allowance. What is this dearness allowance? It is one of the measures taken by the Income Tax Act, wherein, or the Wages Act, wherein they're providing some extra money with the increase in prices of goods and services. That is to compensate the employees with the increase in goods and services. So whenever the goods and services prices of goods and services increases, obviously the income level of employee will not provide him a chance to buy or have all those goods and services. So company provides a percentage, additional percentage of basic pay as dearness allowance. So what is dearness allowance? It is an allowance or it is a payment made to the employee to compensate him from inflation or increase in goods and services. So it is generally allowed as certain percentage of basic pay. It is linked to consumer price index. What is this consumer price index? You have Sensex and Nifty. Consumer price index is an index which shows the increase in price of goods and services that a particular consumer is accepting or consumer requires. So this particular index, if it shows increase, at what percentage it is increasing, the same percentage will be the dearness allowance that will be provided, so that the income level of the employee is increased and he will be able to meet all the expenses to uh, get all the necessary services and goods. So even this is fully chargeable. Next, we have bonus. As we all know, bonus is part of the profit which the employer gives to his employee, and this is also fully taxable. Next, fee or commission. Other than the basic work what the employees ought to do, if he provides any other extra services, he will be provided commission. For example, if he gets an extra client, he outperforms whatever the set standards were, so he is provided with the commission. Or he provides a particular employee is also into furnishing, or he's also a carpenter who provides some services to the company and he's paid a fees to do so. So such kind of any fee or commission that is paid to the employee by the employer also comes under basic salary, and these four components under basic salary will be fully taxable. Hope you have got so much. So if I would just go back, so we started with the basic salary. Under basic salary, we saw the basic pay scale, that is the essential amount or the minimum amount the employer pays his employee. Then we saw dearness allowance. Dearness allowance is nothing but the money given by or the payment done by the employer to compensate the increase in prices of goods and services. Next, bonus is nothing but part of profit which the employer feels must be provided to the employees, other than taking it back to business or the employer himself enjoying it. A part of profit which the employees are given is bonus. Then commission or fees. Any services other than his basic job description or job specification, if the employee renders so, that will come under commission or fees. That also comes under basic salary. So basic salary is all the time fully taxable. There is no exemption, there is no deduction at the beginning. Next up, we have allowances. So we'll see what are the different classifications of allowances. Allowances is nothing but any sort of payment or any sort of cash given to an employee by the employer for meeting some expenses. For example, we have house rent allowance. A particular employee is not owning a house, he's staying in a rented house, and company feels that I need to provide some rent or I need to help my employee to pay his rent other than the salary that I am paying. So I will provide him a allowance relating to his house rent. Next up, we have special allowance. Next, foreign allowance, then the other allowances. So we have mainly four basic allowances, that is house rent allowance, special allowance, foreign allowance, and other allowances. We'll just see what are these allowances in detail. So what is an allowance? Allowance is nothing but a fixed sum paid to an employee for a specific purpose without confirming the end utilization and allowances. So for example, most of the employees just come up with this fake house rent certificate or the rent agreement saying that I am living in a rented house, I want to claim for house rent allowance, which is wrong. But the company will not go and check if he is living in a rented house or his own house. They're just going to see the validity of the rent agreement that is being provided, and they will provide in the allowance. And the company is also not interested is that person for whom the company is paying the rent allowance is using that money for rent purposes or any other purposes. So company is not involved in how the allowances is being used by the employee. So allowances are some fixed sum paid by the employer to an employee for specific purpose without confirming the end utilization. So basically, as I told you, there are 4 types of allowances. So some of the allowances are fully taxable, some of the allowances are exempt from tax, some of the allowances are partly taxed. So further slides, I'll tell you what are those allowances and what percentage or what part of the allowance is completely taxable or fully taxable. Okay, so just remember there are 4 types: house rent allowance, special allowance, foreign allowance, and any other allowance. So we'll start with house rent allowance. So what is this house rent allowance? As we go with the name, house rent allowance is nothing but allowance provided or money provided by the employer to meet house rent expenses of their employees. So how will you calculate taxable house rent allowance? So company provides some amount of house rent allowance. In that, is house rent allowance provided by the company fully taxed? No. We will, if you can look at the table, we have the information given to compute taxable HRA. HRA is nothing but house rent allowance. So firstly, we will start with actual amount received. So what is this actual amount received? The actual house rent allowance given by the company. To that, we'll have to subtract any of the 3 mentioned below, whichever is least. From any of the 3 points given below or 3 factors given below, whichever is least must be subtracted from the actual amount given by the company. So what are the 3 factors? First, we will start with the same first point, that is actual amount received or the HRA received, that is HRA given by the company. Second, rent paid over 10% of the due or of the salary due to the SSC for the relevant period. So to make it more simpler, it is rent paid minus 10% of the basic salary. I'll just repeat it. Rent paid minus 10% of the salary. Up next, third one is 50% of the salary if the house is located in Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai or Delhi, that is the metropolitan cities. And if the house is located in any other places other than the 4 mentioned above, then it will be 40% of the salary. So we will compare all the 3 and see whichever is least. I will deduct that from the actual amount received. I will arrive at taxable house rent allowance. So there are some other points also to be remembered. No exemption if the rent paid is less than 10% of salary. So I will check whatever is the rent I am paying and I'll compare it with my salary. If I'm earning 1 lakh salary per month and my rent is only 1,000. So my rent is less than 10% of 1 lakh. So I will not be provided with, sorry, there will be no exemption. That is, I'm not going to be exempted by any of the 3 factors that is given below. I will be taxed for entire amount paid by the company. Then if the employee is not paying any rent, no exemption shall be allowed. Makes very much sense. If the employee is not in any rented houses, obviously he must not be provided with house rent allowance. Third point, if there is any change in house rent allowance, rent paid, retirement, place of posting during the year, there will be a separate calculation for such change. So if there is any change relating to the house rent allowance that is given by the Income Tax Act, probably say in percentage or probably say in terms of exemptions, or if the rent payment has increased, or if the person has changed the house, or if the employee has retired, or whatever is the condition, then a separate calculation must be shown depending upon the changes. So this is the format. Just remember it. I have a problem in the next slide so we can learn it better. So here we have a problem where Mr. Akash is the assessee who's working as a marketing. If you can check properly, if you're not concentrating, left part is the question. right? We have the tabulation, and below that we have notes or sub calculations. So starting with the question, Mr. Akash is working as a marketing manager in a company in Mumbai. So remember it, Mumbai is a metropolitan city. So in Mumbai, it is 50% of the salary. Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, and Chennai, these four cities, for exemption, this a percentage of salary considered is 50%. Rest of the places, it is 40%. Next, particulars of his salary for the financial year 2019 are as under. We have basic pay rupees 50,000. They have not mentioned it is as per month or as per year. So we are going to assume it to be per annum. Next, we have annual bonus received. That is 10,000. Then the dearness allowance is 20%. So on what will you take dearness allowance? It is always on the basic pay. So dearness allowance will be 20% of 50,000. Then we have HRA, that is house rent allowance given by the company. That is the actual amount received. 4,000, that is per month. I've missed that PM next to 4,000. So just keep it in the mind, it is per month. Rent paid by the employee is 60,000 per annum. So we'll start with the tabulation, or we know the format. We are going to start it with the actual amount received. So actual amount received HRA is rupees 4,000 per month. Anyway, the tax calculation always happens at the end of the year. So we are going to calculate every per month detail for, or we're going to convert every per month detail to annual detail. So actual amount received is 4,000 into 12. That is for the 12 months, 48,000. From the actual amount received, according to the Income Tax Act, I can gain one of the exemptions from the three factors given below. In that, whichever is least, that will be my exemption from tax payable. We have house rent allowance received already calculated in the first step. So that is 48,000. Then rent paid over 10% of salary due to the assessee for the relevant period. If you don't want to write the whole thing, you can just write point B, rent paid minus 10% of the salary. Okay, rent paid is rupees 60,000. We have at the end of the question minus 10% of. So I think I've made a mistake over there. It is not 60,000, it is 50,000. While I'm sending it back to you people, I'll just edit that and send it to you. For now, I've just made a small mistake. Instead of salary amount, I have taken rent amount. Rent paid is 60,000. Salary paid is, I'll just correct it right now for you people to understand it better. So 10% of 50,000 is 5,000. So amount will come up to 55,000. The same way for 50% of 50,000 will be 25,000. Just a small change. Okay. So least will be 28 minus 25 minus 48. 23,000. Okay. If I'm doing anything wrong, just guide me. Okay. Okay. So second step is rent paid over 10%. That is rent paid minus 10% of the salary. Rent paid is 60,000. 10% of salary is 5,000. So when we subtract rent paid from 10% of salary, we get 55,000. The same way, next factor that can be exempted is 50% of the salary, and the house is located in Mumbai. It is mentioned in the question. So I'm going to directly take 50% of the salary. That is 50% of 50,000, 25,000. Okay, sorry. Just one sec. I confused you people. What it was there was actually right. I'm really sorry. Just 1 second. Just 1 second, 1 second. I missed out this part. Really sorry. I'll tell you what's the mistake also. So the thing is, for every allowance, basic salary or salary will be treated differently. We all know basic salary has 4 components, that is bonus, dearness allowance, commission, and basic pay itself. So for calculation of HRA or the calculation of salary under HRA, if you see the pointer below the table, salary for HRA includes basic pay, dearness allowance, and commission. So I have all the information over there. Basic pay is 50,000 as mentioned in the question, and 20% is the dearness allowance, and dearness allowance is always calculated on the basic pay. So 20% of 50,000 is 10,000. The salary for the purpose of calculating HRA includes only basic pay, dearness allowance, and commission. The fourth component, that is bonus, will not be considered as part of salary for calculating house rent allowance. Hope now you people are clear, or I have cleared the doubt. Okay, if there is anything wrong in the calculation, just let it be for now. Just understand the concept. The calculation part, we'll take care of it later. So for calculation of salary, for the purpose of uh, ascertaining the taxable HRA, salary includes only three things: basic pay, dearness allowance, and commission. There is no inclusion of bonus in it. So I'll go back to the table. The three factors, I'll see whichever is the least. We have 48,000, 54,000, and 30,000. Least is the 50% of the salary. So I will subtract the exemption, that is 30,000, from actual amount received. So the total taxable HRA is 18,000. Hopefully you people have understood it. There are many problems in the textbook. You people can solve it on your own once the textbook, or I request Salma to do the honors of sharing all the pages of this particular chapter. If you have already done, thank you very much. Up next, we will see special allowance. So the first type of allowance was house rent allowance, that is done. Now the special allowance is allowance provided to the employee for special reason. What are the special reasons? They are further classified into two: official allowance, personal allowance. Official allowance is provided to the person or the employee for conducting his official duties. Personal allowance is for his personal liabilities or to meet his personal expenses. So we'll see what are these official allowance and personal allowance in detail. So official allowance, I'm not going to mention all the sections and confuse you more. Anyway, in exam, you don't have to write them. You don't have to mention the sections. If you mention it, fair enough. If you don't worry. There will be no marks deducted. Just remember to get the headings right. So official allowance section 1014 of income tax talks about what are the when will the official allowance when will the official allowance be provided to the employee. So specifically granted to meet the expenses only and exclusively incurred in the performance of official duties of an office. So if the employer is conducting or performing any of the official duties of an office, only for meeting those expenses, official allowance will be provided. So next, for example, a person is supposed to deliver some goods from one place to another. So it is the factory goods that is being sent to the other place, and it was not taken by the carriage or the person who had taken the entire goods, but he has missed some 2-3 items. Now the company is sending through one of its employees to do the delivery, who is not the delivery boy, but he is still doing his official duty. So to meet the expenses in delivering that goods from office or factory to the customer, there is expense incurred that is no way related to, that is no way giving any personal benefit to the employee. So all those expenses incurred to meet official duties comes under official allowances. So there is an exemption. The allowance is exempt only to the extent to which it is incurred for the official purpose. So what this point says is, the company thought, okay, there is a conference. We'll assume Mr. Abhishek is one of the employees of XYZ company. XYZ company is into exporting. XYZ company came to know that there is a conference in Madras, and these people are located in Kerala. So they want to send Mr. Abhishek to attend the conference about export in um, Chennai or wherever, whichever places. Now, obviously, there will be a lot of expenses that will be incurred. Probably say the fee payment towards the conference, traveling, residing, lodging, everything, or any of the expenses relating for the entire journey must be comes under official allowance. So just the company will assume, okay, it's a 2-day conference, so the person will need around 15,000 rupees, and the company pays 15,000 rupees. But in reality, Mr. Abhishek incurred only expenses worth of 10,000 rupees. Now, what is the exemption? The allowance is exempt only to the extent which is incurred. So, whatever 10,000 rupees of real expenses that had incurred, only that 10,000 will be exempt from tax. The remaining 5,000 what the employee has saved or the employee has not spent, that will be taxable. Just remember, official allowance, it is for the official duties. What will be exempted? Allowance in real, whatever is used or whatever is incurred, that will be exempt from tax. Whatever is the remaining of the entire amount given, that will be taxable. Just two part, all the expenses met will be exempted. The savings or the part of allowance which is not spent will be taxable. So the list goes on. Anyway, at the end, I have a tabulation. I shall share that with you people. So if you see, I have all the allowances given over here and how it is being treated. So here, before to this, whatever slides I was discussing, that is based on different types of allowances. If you look at the table here, they say they have classified allowances under three headings: allowance which are fully taxable, allowance which are partly taxable, allowance which are fully exempted. I request all of you to write this entire table once, and if you're not able to remember it, just, or if you're not able to connect and remember it, just by heart it or do whatever you want to, but you will have to remember all of this. What is fully taxable, what is partly taxable, what allowances are fully exempted. Okay, I'll just go back. So we were discussing about the official allowance. We have traveling allowance, wherein the cost of travel on tour or transfer shall be exempted. If there is any saving, that will be chargeable. So this way you can go ahead and learn entirely on your own. I'm not going to explain each of the allowances and waste time. So you can go through the slides and you can, it's very easy. Academic allowance, uniform allowance, if the person is uh, purchasing some uniform for performing this job, that is probably say a factory employee or a person who is into marketing, who is representing this company with the company uniform. Obviously the company will provide him money to get the uniform stitched or purchased. So whatever money is spent on purchasing the uniform will be exempted from tax. If there is any savings, that will be taxable. So all the official expenses, exemption amount is for the expenses met. The remaining savings will be completely taxable. Shall we go with the next one? Okay, I'll go with the next one. That is personal allowance. So what is this personal allowance? Any such allowance is granted to the assessee either to meet his personal expense at the place where the duties of his is rendered, or employment or ordinarily performed by him, or at place where he ordinarily resides, or to compensate him for the increased cost of living. Just remember, you forget all the 4 points. Just remember, other than official expenses, if the person, obviously the employee will have many personal expenses. Say he will have to give education to his family or children, he will have to take care of his family, there will be many expenses that will be incurred that is nowhere related to his official duty. So such expenses and the money provided for meeting such expenses by the company will come under personal allowances. So we'll just go with the list of expenses. First, I'm going to just discuss the main expenses or the allowances today. The rest of it you can see the table and you can by heart it. So children allowance, children education allowance, exempt up to 100 per month, child up to 2 children. So if a particular person has 2 children, the company is providing him 100 rupees per month per child. That is, he's going to provide 200 rupees per 2 children every month. Company is least bothered if the person is using that 200 rupees for payment of his children education fees, or he is using for some other purpose. But company is following payment of this allowance as part of its salary regimen. So it is providing 200 rupees per 2 children. And it also says it includes even a stepchild and an adopted child. So it might not be the natural born or the child which is very much naturally born to the employee. It might be even stepchild or any adopted child. And it also says irrespective of actual expenditure incurred. So whatever is the child education expenses, if it is 75 rupees also, the company is paying 100 rupees. If it is 150 also, company is paying only 100 rupees per child. So just remember this, 100 rupee per child up to 2 child, irrespective of the actual expenditure. Child includes naturally born child or the child born to the employer itself, or a stepchild or an adopted child. And exemption can be, fourth point, exemption can be availed for any two children. That is, if it is not compulsory, the exemption is allowed only for first two children. So if a particular employee has more than two children, the company is not bothered for what purpose he is using the allowance given. So it is going to provide just with the count of payment towards two children. It is not bothered about is the first child it is paying or the second child or the third child. The last point talks about exemption is not allowed for the third child even if it is in case of twins after the birth of one child. So here is a situation where the employer gave a birth to one child as the first child, and the second time when the wife delivered it was twins. So now it is the company is least bothered again is if it is twins also, and he's owning three children now, the company is going to provide children education allowance of 100 rupee per month per child, only up to two children. Just remember so much. Next, the same way, hostel allowance. So it is the allowance granted to an employee to meet the hostel expenditure of his child. So it is exempt up to 300 per month per child up to two children. So in education, children education allowance, it was 100 rupee per month per child up to per child up to two children. Hostel allowances up to 300 per month per child up to two children. Whatever was the remaining, or whatever is the remaining provisions are very much similar to children education. Like it includes natural born child or adopted child or the step child, and it also includes the provision which talks about even if they have twin children in the second delivery, only the education expenses or the hostel allowance will be provided only to two children. So just remember all those. Next point, or the next allowance under special or the personal allowance is transport allowance. It is granted to an employee who is blind, deaf, dumb, or orthopedically handicapped with disability of lower extremities. So he's able to work, but he's not able to come on his own transport. So to such kind of an employee, transport allowance is provided. So to meet his expenditure for the purpose of commuting between the place of his residence and the place of his duty. So you will have to understand the difference over here. It is not the official allowance what we are providing over here. Here it is for his personal benefit of commuting from his place of residence to the place of his duty. This particular allowance is provided. So how much allowance is exempted, the company can provide how much ever allowance that is required for the commutation every month. In that, only up to 3,200 per month allowance is exempted. So remaining, if the company is paying 5,000, then the rest of 1,800 per month will be taxed. Okay, we'll go with the next one. So these are the three main personal allowance, three main personal allowances. Remaining allowances are in the table. You can study it on your own. Next up, we have foreign allowance. So what is this foreign allowance? This allowance and perquisites provided by the government to its employees posted abroad. So this foreign allowance is mainly paid for employees belonging to government jobs or government employees. So for example, say there is a Indian embassy in Australia. Obviously, Indian citizens will be deployed over there for managing and taking care of the embassy in Australia. So this particular allowance is provided by government for employees to take care of themselves in Australia other than the salary that is being paid to them. And this kind of allowances provided to the employees deployed in a foreign country is exempt from income tax. They are fully exempt from income tax. Okay. Next we have okay, I think I misplaced the slide. Next up we have outstation allowance that comes under personal allowance. So this particular allowance is granted to an employee working in transport system to meet his personal expenditure. So this talks about all those lorry drivers or any goods carriage drivers who are supposed to be delivering goods from one part of the country to the other part of the country. So such uh, employees will be provided with outstation allowance. So such allowance is given in lieu of his daily allowance. So what is this daily allowance? Daily allowance is provided for employees staying near to the office or the official duty place, and on daily basis they will be provided with the allowance to meet the expenses that they have incurred in doing their duties. But when it is outstation allowance, obviously the employee is traveling away from the official location. So he will be paid outstation allowance in lieu of, instead of daily allowance. So what part of it is exempt? So outstation allowance is exempt to the extent of least of the two things given below. That is 70% of the allowance or 10,000 per month. So if the company is providing allowance of say 15,000 rupees or 20,000 rupees, for easy calculation, we'll assume company is providing 20,000 rupees. So I need to see, is it 70% of that 20,000 which is least or 10,000 which is least? Obviously, what is 70% of allowance? It is 14% and 10,000 per month. So 10,000 per month is least. So only 10,000 out of 20,000 will be exempt from tax. Remaining 10,000 will be taxable. That is, I will add that allowance to basic salary to come for total income from total taxable salary. I'll show the format again. Don't worry. Next, underground allowance. So this particular allowance, you will get it in section A as well. What is outstation allowance? What is underground allowance? So you will have to know the meaning as well. Underground allowance is granted to an employee who's working in uncognizable, unnatural climate in underground mines. So this allowance is provided to all those employees working undergrounds, that is probably say mining or any kind of quarrying of diamond or any such thing. So what is the allowance given? It is exempt up to 800 per month. So if the company is providing 1,000 rupees, only 800 in that 1,000 rupees is exempt from tax, remaining 200 is taxable. So all these exemptions are per month. When you're calculating, you will convert everything to annual basis. Okay, so as I told you, please go through all these allowances and search for the meaning online. City compensatory allowance is nothing but depending upon the city and the standard of living in that particular city, the allowances will vary. So such kind of city compensatory allowance, then you have dearness allowance. So just go through everything. If you don't get anything, just you can come back to me. I'll help you in explanation of it. Okay. So I'll directly go with the next part of the format. It is deductions. So there are three types of deductions that can be provided for. Okay, I'll just go through the format and get back to it so you people can connect it better. Okay, this is the basic format for calculating income from salary. I will start with basic salary. Basic salary, we know there are four components under that. Next up, we have allowances. So I told you four categories of allowances, and in each category there are n number of allowances. I will see what are the part of allowances that can be taxed, and I will add it to the basic salary. The third part is profit in lieu of salary. So any kind of share that is given by the employer from his profit earned will be called as profit in lieu of salary. So instead of paying the salary, if the company feels that you've earned, you have outperformed and you have made the company earn a lot of profit, so I'm paying you profit also, or I'm giving you some part of profit also, that is profit in lieu of salary. Then we are going to add perquisites. Perquisites, like allowances, perquisites is more like giving an asset or giving a facility than the cash. So in allowances, they were they were paid some cash to meet the expenses. In perquisites, they will be provided with a facility or an asset to meet their daily necessities. So perquisites we are going to discuss in the next class because they are huge in number. Like allowances, perquisites also are there in number. So when I add all these, I will arrive at gross salary. To that, I am going to deduct the deductions under section 16. There are three deductions: standard deductions, entertainment allowance, professional tax. So I'm going to discuss that now. After that, I'm going to arrive at income from salary. That is net income from salary, or income from salary that is taxable. So I'll arrive at income from salary that is taxable under Income Tax Act. So if you remember this, or if you have understood this basic concept, I'll go with the deduction, and today itself I'm going to solve the problem at the end using this format. Okay. Okay. So what are the three kinds of deductions that must be deducted from the gross salary? So before the gross salary, what all we added? We added basic salary, we added allowances, we had perquisites, we added profit in lieu of salary to arrive at gross salary. From gross salary, I am going to show these deductions. After providing for these deductions, I will arrive at net income from salary or income from salary that is that will be used for taxation purposes. Okay, so what are the three types of deductions? Standard deductions. First thing, it is one of the whichever is the lower below that. So we have two things, that is gross salary and rupees 40,000. So what will gross salary for standard deductions include? Basic payment, allowances, perquisites, retirement benefits. So all the things that we have added to arrive at gross salary, everything will be included. That will be compared with rupees 40,000. Whichever is least, I will deduct under standard deductions. Next up, we have entertainment allowance. So there are two classifications under that. Entertainment allowance for state or central government employees is different. For non-government employees or the private employees, it is different. So for state government, we'll go with the first one. So in case of only state or central government employees, least of the following will be treated for or will be taken for deductions. So what are the three factors to be considered? Actual entertainment allowance received by the employee, or 20% of the basic salary, or rupees 5,000. In next slide, I'll show you what will basic salary have, or what are the different components that will be included for calculation of basic salary under entertainment allowance. If you people can recall, in HRA, basic salary was exclusive of bonus. So the three other components were used for calculation of salary in HRA. In entertainment allowance, we will see in the next slide. So least of actual entertainment allowance received, or 20% of basic salary, or rupees 5,000 will be used for deduction of entertainment allowance if the employee is state or central government employee. Second part of the same point is, in case of non-government employees, the entire entertainment allowance is fully taxable. There is no exemptions for it. Entire allowance that is provided by the company is fully taxable. Up next, we have professional tax or tax on employment. So if it is paid by the SSE, then I'm going to deduct entire amount. So we probably say for professional tax now is 200 rupees. If it is deducted by the, if it is paid by the employee, that will be directly deducted from his salary. If it is paid by the employer on behalf of the employee, then it will be first included in gross salary and subsequently deducted under section 16. So, however, we are going to show it as a deduction if it is paid by the employee or the assessee. You people know who is an assessee, you know? Assessee is the person whose tax liability is being assessed or whose tax liability is being calculated or ascertained. So income from salary, obviously assessee is employee, not the employer. Assessment of employer will come under income from business and professions, or profit and gains from business and professions. Under that head, you're going to compute the tax of employer, and for employee it is under the head income from salary. So we'll get the problem and we'll end the session. Okay, here I have few of the allowances and I am going to show you how to calculate. This particular problem is not a full-fledged problem, it's a section B problem. In section C, you will have retirement benefits and perquisites, the other components. Here I've taken only basic salary, HRA, deductions. These are the three components I am concentrating over here. Okay, so I'll start with the question. If you can see above right corner, I have question. Below that, I have the tabulation of the format. Left side, I have all the necessary notes or sub calculation that is required to solve the problem or to arrive at net salary. So I'll start with the question. Mrs. Kalpana is a resident and an employee of central government in Bangalore. Submits the following information. Compute a net salary for the assessment year 2019-20. So what is this net salary? Net salary is nothing but the total salary that can be taxed, or that is supposed to be taxed, or to make it in simpler words, the taxable salary. So basic salary is 40,000 per month. Dearness allowance is 30% of basic pay. In that, 60% enters into all retirement benefits. So I'll tell you what is this thing. Their basic, see this particular part, that is 60% enters into all retirement benefits. We saw that for entertainment allowance, the salary was different. For HRA, salary was different. So for calculation of each type of allowances or each type of factor under the entire calculation, the salary will be treated differently. So 30% of basic pay is DA for calculation of a certain allowance. For certain other allowance, the retirement benefit will be taken into consideration. So we will, you have all that information in the table. You can just go through it. Next up, we have HRA, that is house rent allowance provided by the company, that is rupees 3,500 per month. HRA will always be provided per month. Rent paid by the employee is rupees 72,000 per annum. If you're not able to follow anything, just stop me there. You can drop me a message. I'll repeat it. That is how you're going to clear the doubts in the session. A DNS allowance is 30% of basic pay, 60% enters into all retirement benefits. HRA is rupees 3,500, that is per month. Then rent paid is rupees 72,000 per annum. Annual bonus, that itself mentions it is annual, so it is rupees 15,000. Then entertainment allowance is rupees 15,000 again. Okay, we will start with the format. Hope you people remember the format till now, the blue table what I showed you earlier. So we have salary, basic salary plus allowances plus perquisites plus profit in lieu of salary, which will sum up to gross salary. From gross salary, we are going to have the three deductions. After the deductions, we will arrive at net salary or salary to be taxable. So I will start with the format. If you people can remember, any chapter or any head of income you're ascertaining the taxable income, you will start with mentioning assessee, his status and category in the left corner of the margin, and the right corner you will write what is the previous year, what is the assessment year. I'm not going to discuss all that what is previous year and assessment year now, which is already done. By now you people have to be knowing what is the difference between both. Next, particulars, we are going to start with the first component, that is basic salary or entire salary. So salary includes four things: basic salary, allowances, perquisites, and profit in lieu of salary. So we will just see the question, what are the things that is available, we'll keep on adding it. We have basic salary. What is basic salary? Rupees 40,000 per month. As we are calculating taxable income per annum, we are multiplying 40,000 with 12 months. That is 12,000, 12 into 40,000, 4,88,000. 4,80,000. I've shown that as note number 1 in notes. Next up, we will have to add bonus to the salary. So bonus, they have directly given it as annual payment. So that is 15,000. I have taken it. Next, entertainment allowance. There are some deductions to be provided at the end. Here, the point to be considered is, assessee Mrs. Kalpana is a government employee. If you can recall the entertainment allowance, it is, if it is government employee, come to the for now, just remember, if it is a government employee, I'm going to add entertainment as part of the salary, then show as deductions in later part. If it is a non-government employee, it will not be provided with any deduction, so I will be adding it completely to entertainment allowance. That is, it will be part of salaries itself. That is, it is part of taxable income from salary. Okay, so I'm going to add entertainment allowance. So next, I will add upon other types of allowances. If you don't want to mention it as allowance, that is also fine. You can just directly see what are the allowances that is given in the question. You can just write the allowance name without any heading and show the calculations. Up next, I have DNS allowance. DNS allowance, they say it is 30% of basic pay. So 30% of 4,80,000 is 1,44,000. I have shown the calculation as point number 2 under notes. Third one, we need to calculate HRA. So you people hopefully remember till now. We discussed just few minutes before how to calculate taxable house rent allowance. So I will start with the table. You can hope it is visible to you. House rent allowance, point number 3, left side of the slide. So house rent allowance, we'll start with actual amount received. So in the question they say actual amount received is 3,500 per month. 3,500 into 12 is 42,000. To that I will give an exemption out of 3 factors. Uh, out of that 3 factors, whichever is least factor, that will be taken as exemption from actual amount received for calculation of taxable house rent allowance. So the first factor is actual amount received or the HRA received, that is 42,000. Then rent paid minus 10% of the salary. Over here again, I will have to decide what uh, becomes a part of salary while calculating HRA. I've given the pointer below. Salary includes basic salary and DA that also enters into retirement. Salary for calculation of HRA includes 3 things, if you people can recall the earlier slide. It includes basic pay, allowances, and commission or fees. It doesn't include bonus. And when there is a mentioning of retirement benefits, then only whatever part of dearness allowance enters the retirement benefits, that must be considered for HRA. That is 60% of the 30% allowance. So I am calculating salary for the purpose of calculation of HRA as basic pay or the basic salary, 4,80,000. I'll just move the cursor over there so it is visible to you. 4,80,000 plus 30% of the dearness allowance. Plus 30% of the dearness allowance, that is 30% of 1,44,000, which will sum up to 5,66,400. Okay, so this will come up to 5,66,400 for second factor that I'm supposed to consider. Sorry, I'm supposed to take only 10% of it. So rent paid is 72,000 minus 10% of the salary. That will come up to 15,360. Then the third point is either 50% or 40% of salary. So here the person's residence is located in Bangalore, not the 4 metropolitan cities where we'll have to assume 50% of salary. So the 50% will be taken only in case if the house is located in Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, or one more place, Kolkata. So if the residence is not located in any of those 4 places, then it is 40%. In our question, it is Bangalore, so I'm going to take 40% of the salary. That is 2,26,560. So out of these, 15,360 is the least. So I'm going to deduct the least exemption out of the actual amount received, that is 26,640. So I'm going to directly write it under the table or directly write it in the table for HRA, that is house rent allowance, 26,640. I don't have any other allowance or I don't have any other perquisites or profit in view of a salary. So I'm going to total gross salary that will come up to 6,80,640. Up next, I need to give out all the deductions. So there are 3 types of deductions: standard deductions, entertainment allowance deduction, and professional tax. Here, I don't have any information about the professional tax. So I'll just go with the first two. What is standard deductions? If you people can recall the previous slide, the standard deductions will be least of salary or 40,000 rupees. 1 second. Yeah, gross salary or 40,000 rupees. Gross salary is 6,80,640. Comparing it with 40,000, obviously 40,000 is the least amount. So I'm going to write standard deductions of 40,000. Next up, the entertainment allowance. If the resident or the assessee, Mrs. Kalpana, was not a central government employee, then she would not have been got this entertainment allowance. As she is as government employee, I am going to provide her with the entertainment allowance deductions using this particular format. Go to the fifth point under notes, the left corner, the bottom left corner. So we will have to see whichever is the least among the following given, that will be the exempted amount. So minimum limit that is set. So I'll just show the previous slide. So these were the 3 points that I'm supposed to consider. Actual entertainment amount received, 20% of the basic pay. So here basic pay is just basic pay, not the basic salary that includes all the remaining dearness allowance or other remaining components. So just the basic pay, 20% of it, and minimum limit of 5,000. Whichever is least, I'm going to consider for deduction. So among 5,000, 96,000 and 15,000, 5,000 is least. So I've taken entertainment allowance or deductions relating to entertainment allowance as 5,000, and I'm adding it and showing the total amount of deduction as 45,000. In this, to this, I'm going to, 45,000, I'm going to deduct from gross salary to arrive at net salary. So this is basically how a simple problem on income from salary will look. To this, you will get all possible allowances. For say, you might get the children education allowance or hostel allowance or outstation allowance. You just have to keep on adding what is the particular amount of any allowance that is not exempt from tax. You need to add at the end, you will show the deductions and you will arrive at taxable income. So this is the end of it. Next video, I will be discussing about the different types of perquisites. What is perquisites? Either a facility or an asset provided by the company to meet day-to-day expenses or to meet day-to-day requirements of its employees. So hopefully by now you are able to differentiate between allowance and perquisites. With the perquisites, I'm going to discuss about retirement benefits, for example, pension, gratuity, all that. So I don't think I'll be able to cover both of them in a single session because it's very vast and I don't want you to get confused. So for today, just go look into all the allowances that I have shared in that particular table. Just Google each of its meaning. If you're not able to just understand with the word itself, just go and Google it or browse it and learn it. Okay, so hopefully you have understood. I'll unmute if anybody has a doubt. You can drop a message saying, ma'am, I have a doubt. I will discuss the doubt and clear it. If nobody has any doubt, then I will end the meeting. You can learn everything what we have discussed just now and see how best you can understand. If there is any doubt, you can come back. I request Salma again to share the questions relating to the same or share the entire chapter of income from salary. And don't be scared looking at the chapter. It is very vast. I'm going to discuss only whatever is very much necessary for your examination point of view and very basic part of the salary taxable salary calculation. So I shall give you 10 more seconds if anybody has a doubt, or if you want me to redo a particular slide, tell me right now. If there is nothing, I shall end the meeting. Anyway, I've already shared the slides with you people, so just go through it. Okay, I suppose there's no one who has any doubts. So, okay then, meet you all in the next session discussing about the perquisites. So be ready. Okay, take care everyone. Be safe. Don't roam around. Use sanitizer. Wash your hands. Keep yourself away with any people who are being affected with cold and cough. Take care everyone. Bye.